It has been some time where we last spoke. Those who are following us and those who are following our channel, they know that in this house or in this channel we speak about African people, African traditions, anything that is pertaining black people and being an African man. Today we are going to be brief. We are not going to take too long in this session. But what are we saying today? We are saying this question to one of us or to all of us. The question that we must ask ourselves: who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us that we have forgotten that we must rest modest? Who has bewitched us that we have forgotten that anybody who's older around us is a parent? Who has bewitched us that we have forgotten that we have ancestors? Who have bewitched us that we have forgotten that we are black people and we are African? In Yoruba, in Nigeria, they say it takes a village to raise a child. What do they mean? A child is raised not only by his biological parents. When a child is in a village, he is raised by any other parent that is within the village. So what they mean is that it's not only your biological parents that are your parents, but the whole village, those that are parents within the village, they are your parents. That is why they say it takes a village to raise a child. The Apostle Paul, when he speaks in the book of Acts chapter 22, when he was to defend himself against the Jews, he relates a dream that, or he relates an encounter between him and Jesus Christ. So when he relates that encounter between him and Jesus Christ, he relates what happened when he saw a vision. He's saying, Ananias, when he came to him, he said to Paul, our ancestors or our forefathers have sent me to come and speak to you. Meaning to say, the disciples had one thing in mind, or they realized that there are ancestors, there are forefathers in their history. That is why you are speaking of ancestors. That is why you are speaking about their forefathers. So who has bewitched us that we have forgotten that we have these people as our ancestors? Who has bewitched us that we have regarded another race better than us? When God created man, he created man in his own image. When God created man, he created man in his own image. Meaning to say, whether colored or white or black or I don't know, any other ethnic group that you know, we are all in the image of God. But who has bewitched us to regard ourselves as monkeys? Who has bewitched us to regard ourselves as baboons? If there is any other race that calls black people baboons, or any other race that calls black people as monkeys, or any other race that calls African people as baboons or monkeys, that means they are saying God is a baboon or God is a monkey, because God created us in his own image. Whether white or black or Indian or colored, but we are all in the image of God. So who has bewitched us, black people, to regard ourselves as baboons? Who have bewitched us, black people, to regard ourselves as monkeys? We are better than any other race. We are better, or we are in this similar category with any other race, because God created us in his own image. So who has bewitched us? When the Apostle Paul speaks about a tradition in the women in Corinth, he tells them about their traditions, that they needed to cover their hair whenever they were praying. But he reminds them that this is not a new law. It is something that has been there in your traditions. So covering of hair did not come with Christianity, but it came with our traditions, that we must cover our hair. But who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us that we forget that this has been there? Dressing in modesty did not come with Christianity. It has been there in our tradition that we must dress modestly. Who has bewitched us? Funerals have tended to be parties. Funerals have tended to be fashion shows. Funerals have tended to be a dancing contest. Who has bewitched us? People look for money to buy a beautiful dress to go into a funeral. People look for money to buy a very expensive suit to attend a funeral. Who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us such that we have forgotten that funeral is a place to respect? When we are at a funeral, we are mourning. And when we are mourning, we mourn with respect. African women will not go into a funeral when their hair was not covered. African women will not go into a funeral when they have dresses that don't reach their knees. Who has bewitched us? A funeral was not a place to dance. A funeral was not a place to enjoy. This is how we have been brought up as African people. But who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us? This is a question that we must ask ourselves day and night, and sit down and introspect ourselves and ask who has bewitched us. Is it the colonizers that they will bewitched us? Or we ourselves have tended to take somebody's tradition and follow it and forget ours? Who has bewitched us? We are the problem of ourselves. We need to go back and introspect ourselves, because we are the problem of ourselves. The colonizers came to an African continent with their own culture and traditions. They introduced their own cultures and traditions to us, but they did not force us to take their own culture and traditions. But us, we regarded ours as inferior than theirs. Who has bewitched us? Today I'm saying, who has bewitched us? We must go back, because we are the problem of ourselves, and solve our problems. And solve our problems and follow what we were taught. I always wonder and sit down and think and ask myself, how were our forefathers living before colonization? But I found that these people were living pretty. Our forefathers lived pretty. They didn't have any problem. They were farmers. They could farm. They could eat from their farms. There was no one who was buying from anyone because they could farm. They could have farming in abundance. They farm, they rear cattle, they rear goats, they have meat, they have everything. They don't buy from anyone. They lived a life which had no problems. We encounter problems now because we have taken other people's cultures and followed them. They come to bite us again because we are not the owners of that culture, or we are not the owners of that tradition. So it comes back and bites us again. Today I'm saying to us, who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us that we have changed who you are because of somebody else? Do you still regard yourself as a baboon? Do you still regard yourself as a monkey? Are you inferior than any other race? Are you not the image of God? Because God created man in his image. If God is a monkey, if a black person is a monkey, it means God is a monkey to everyone. If God is a baboon, if a black person or an African person is a baboon, then God is a baboon. That's what you are saying. Who has bewitched us? We are a problem of ourselves. We are confused as black people. We are confused as African people. We are a problem of ourselves. Let's solve it. Let's solve our problem because we are a problem of ourselves. Who has bewitched us? Who has bewitched us? It must ring in your mind. It must be still speaking into your mind to ask yourself, who has bewitched me? Who has bewitched us? Be blessed, all of you, and know that we are a problem of ourselves. We must solve it, and solve it for us, for our children, for generations to come. I thank you. Keep on subscribing. Keep on liking. Keep on sharing so that we continue to develop ourselves and go back where we started from. Today is better than yesterday. Our future is bright if ever we can regard ourselves as similar with any other race.